Flosstube, my name is Laura and you found Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. Mostly cross stitch, a little bit of paper. If you are new, welcome to my mid-year review. I hope you like what you see. This is just a taste of some of my projects and maybe you'll check out some of my regular videos. And if you are a stitching friend coming and checking out what I have accomplished in 2023, welcome. And I'm so glad you're here and glad we can talk about what 2023 has meant for my stitching journey. So this time of year is so exciting when it comes to the Flosstube world. First, you have in January all of the whip parades and all of that where people show all of their projects and so on and so forth. And then recently in the last, I think I've noticed it more in the last few years, that there's the July whip parades where people show their projects mid-year kind of thing. Now, when I went to go to film this, I was thinking about how I wanted to tackle it. And I think in the end, I've decided that I would, well, I know that I want to tackle it a little bit differently than some of the traditional parades that you're seeing out there. I filmed a parade in January, like many people. And so if you wanted to see up to that point before 2023 really started, you could watch that and see all of my projects up to then. But I've noticed that, so this year, you know, I've started projects, I've finished projects, I've stitched on some that are current, but there are several that didn't get stitched on, didn't get work. Some by design, because I'm not sure about them. Some, they're just not part of my focus for this year. So when I was thinking about it, I said, well, why am I going to re-show stuff that I haven't even touched? So then I was going to do starts and all the stuff that I'd stitched this year. Well, mostly... Well, what came with that, I should say, is that then that would be, I touch a lot in the course of a week from week to week, I feel like, and I get a decent number I get a good amount of stitches in, I should say that. I am lucky in the way my schedule is that I do get more stitching time than many people. And I thought about, well, if I did all of that, that would probably be like a 3-hour video. So then I started to think about, well, maybe I'll focus just on starts and finishes. Only stuff that has been started or finished in 2023 so that we can really just concentrate. It's kind of like, you know, when you get a review at work, you would get a review from like the last review. So I figured I wanted to kind of do something like that in that sense where I wanted to review what I've kind of looked at and started and finished since the year started. So that's what you're going to see. When I looked at my numbers, I realized very quickly, I don't know if you watch Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher. So this year she's stitching 60 projects for her 60th birthday. And her mid-year video, and this is where it got my wheels turning originally, was when I saw Beth's video, was she just talked about the starts that she had made up until that point. And then, you know, she's got X number more to get to 60 by her birthday in December. So I was starting to think about that first. Then I looked at my numbers and I realized that I am in spirit stitching with Beth and her 60 because I am at 30 starts through the end of June. So that's all I'm going to show you is through the end of June. I know we're in July at this point and I do have 5 or 6 more projects that have been started since. One was kind of an end of the June, beginning of July thing. So I just showed that in my last week's video. So you would have seen in my most recent video, most of those starts. I did start something since that video, which you'll see next week. So I figured I'm going to leave July alone and really just look at what the first 6 months of the year have brought me for stitching. So I hope you like that. I hope you'll join me on this look back in 2023. I have my notes. Normally I put them up against the kind of tripod so that I'm always looking kind of more straight than all over the place, but I have 3 pages worth of notes. I have 2 notebooks, a notebook and kind of a stitching kind of planner. I have starts, I have finishes that from this year, finishes. So I have everything everywhere. So I'm going to be kind of looking all over the place before I focus back on you, just because there's a lot here. So let's just dive right in, okay? All right, so first we're gonna start. Then I figured to myself, well, do I wanna do January to June or June to January? And I decided to work my way backwards. So the things you're going to see first are my June, and we're gonna work all the way back to January so that as we get farther in the video, it will be stuff that you haven't seen in a little while. I have, like I said, 30 starts. Of the starts that I made, 5 of them are finished. Some fully finished, some just finished. So I will put those in that section with the starts. And then because they're 2023. And then after that, we will look at there's not a ton of extra finishes beyond that, but I did finish some pieces from previous year's starts. So we'll finish with those and then some stats, and yeah, then we'll get going. Alrighty, so my very first one that I'm gonna show you, so we're in June. I'll tell you as we move backwards in the month with the year. So this first one is Summer Quaker by Lila Studio. Now, Beth and I, the Steadfast Stitcher, we started this together with a whole bunch of other people on the first day of summer. And we do have a hashtag. I think there's 1, 2, 3 different hashtags for the things that I started this year that I will show you. There was a 4th, but when we get to it, I'll talk about it. So where there is hashtags that I know about, that I will provide them for you. So this was hashtag Summer by the Shore, SAL. Feel free to join in with the hashtag. Join us stitching this. Even if you've already started it, it's so much fun seeing so many people stitch it and seeing their take on it. So I'm really enjoying it. All right, so where am I? I've gotten some good progress since the first day of summer. That's where I am right there. When I can tell you designers or fabric, I think I pretty much have everything covered. I don't think I've really forgotten anything. But if I do, feel free. I will make notes in the description box of all the projects with their information. But if I forget something, feel free to ask, and I will do my best to find the information for you. So there we are. This is 18 count Nantucket Sky from Fabrics by Stephanie. I purposely chose it because of its beautiful kind of almost cloudy sort of summer sky look to it. You're going to find as we journey along this 2023 that Nantucket Sky is one of my favorites. Now, I'm a blue person. If you're new to me, I love stitching on blue fabric. It's kind of a running joke now. What color is Laura going to pick? Probably blue. So you're going to see a lot of blue. It doesn't mean that that's the only thing. I do like color. I like changing things up, maybe pushing the boundaries with it a little bit, but I also like a good neutral now and then. So you'll see a little bit of everything there. So there we are with that. I am really enjoying stitching this. I am not changing. I'm also, if you're new, not averse to changing colors of floss colors, because if I change the fabric, that changes the feel, and sometimes certain colors will look different on those fabrics, and they don't always go. So it's a little bit different than what the designer had originally put. So you will see me sometimes change colors, and I will do my best to signal when that is. This one though, nothing's been changed, and so far I don't think I will. I'm enjoying the colors as they are, so I think that will stay as is. Now I think as I go, because there is a humongous pile here, the pile started to tip right before filming. I was please like no, because it's all in order. Please don't fall. So I'm going to gently try to put some stuff together and back and away so that we don't have a catastrophe mid-video. Alrighty, next. This one is June's Honeysuckle from my garden. No, it's from Cottage Garden Samplings, and it's my garden journal. This was a set of 12 released quite some time ago. 2013, so 10 years ago, with the original copyright date. And I am stitching all 12 of them. They're getting starts. 2 of them got started last year, November and December, and the rest will get started this year. And then I'll finish them when I finish them. I'm not worried about it. I am changing all of the fabric colors. In some cases, that means I am changing floss colors, but not always. So this is what this one looks like. Let me put it up. This is, oh, I can't put this right on my notes because then I can't see, 18 count Ice Crystals by Fabrics by Stephanie. Everything I started this year actually is 18 count. So if I forget to say it, that's what it is. And if you're just trying to figure out color scheme wise, you're looking at an 18 count. So just remember it might change for different ones. I really like Fabric by Stephanie's dyeing process and her Ada. It's I stitch in hand, so it's a great feel. I really enjoy it. Now, I did change this pattern slightly, not the colors, but the design. I decided I didn't want bees up here. I'll put them in other spots. So I just extended what is this border through the top here, extended this border up here, and that's what that will be. So as you can see, in June, I definitely didn't get much progress because I spent an awful lot of time checking and double checking myself to make sure I did the border properly. So maybe what I'll do after I do the words, if there's a big space here, I might do one little bee up top. That might be cute. So we'll see. But that's what that looks like right there. And once the month ends, unless I need the project for a certain prompt, because I do some games on Facebook. I'm part of the Whip Warriors group. And I also Magazine Monthly Cross Stitch Challenge when I like some of their challenges. So sometimes these might see some more time during the year, but for the most part, once the month is over, they're put away and I will revisit them in 2024. All right, next. Next is something that I had never tried before, and I decided to give it a try. I love watching people do mill hills, and I decided that I was going to do one. So I picked this sleigh ride, Evergreen sleigh from Mill Hill. I chose it because of the little doggy at the front of the sleigh, reminds me of Shamrock. And I didn't get very far, and let me see, I think it's this way. So far right there. This is my very first time stitching a mill hill. I did find, and I did it on a Zoom, and I did find it was challenging to read the pattern, especially while Zooming. So this is one I definitely have to do when my mind is fully engaged. I did end up making a working copy to help myself out, and I have some notes and things like that with the colors, but I think I do have one mistake, but I'm going to see if I can fudge it a little bit. You know, I'm already trying to fix things. So that will get some time, but you know, when it does, it does. And that's all part of the kit I am working on. First time perforated paper, and I don't mind it, I have to say. All right, next. So I have several that are digital patterns, and I will show you them when needed. When something's finished, I don't really need to show you on the iPad. I am a interactive kind of, there's not a lot of adding extra stuff. We just go with the flow. There is what I'm talking about. So Gnomeville is from Little Dove Designs. Yes. All right, I'm going to tilt it so you can see the picture straight up. I didn't go quite as dark. It's really cute on that color fabric. And I might have to adjust a little bit and outline the white parts a bit because I did go much lighter than this, which is kind of funny. Usually I go darker. But here we go. It's got a little start, but we do have a little gnome. This is 18 count Morning Mint from Atomic Ranch. And that's what it looks like. But as you can see, there's a white border. Technically, I probably don't need to do it, but I've already started it, so I'll just keep doing it around the red. And even in person, you can see it in person, but it's definitely subtle. So when it comes to things like the sign and things like that, we'll see. There might be a little bit of, most likely, a light gray backstitch happening that's not part of the pattern. I will come to that, cross that bridge when I get to it. So that is Gnomeville, and we are still in June. We have one more in June. At the beginning of June, now this is a finish, a full finish. At the beginning of June, I started, let me put this down here. I have all my little notes here. I started Summer Blessings. This was a Lila Studio pattern, and I started it for Cross Stitch Camp for the June, which was Stitch Something with a Bird. So that's a hashtag Cross Stitch Camp 2023. And I believe, even though there's different themes all summer, I believe it's the same hashtag. And I recently just showed this as a full finish because I finished it this past week. It's a sort of ornament, but not really. I put a very small hanger on it because I really don't want that to be the focus. I want it hanging, but I really want you just to see. So it's almost like a leaner, but it's hanging, for want of a better word. And that's just yellow felt behind it, just to pop it out. And this was done on an 18 count Icelandic blue, and that was from To Die For Fabrics. So that will go hanging back up underneath my shelves. So let me see, where am I going to put those? I'll put those back over there. That was June. That was all of June. So let's move on to, move my notes back down here. This is a process. Let's move on to May. So at the end of May, You know what? I have so many tabs. I'm going to X out of a couple of them. There we go. I started, and this was a process. I started Dandelions, and this is from Owl Forest Embroidery. That's what it looks like. And I really hemmed and hawed on what fabric I wanted because I really want the dandelions, the white, to pop. And I actually started this on 3 different fabrics. No lie. I showed them one week and then made a final decision. And I ended up going dark and more gray than green. I really didn't see this one coming at all. But I ended up with, what is this? This is 18 count Twilight Mist from To Die For Fabrics. So it doesn't look like much right now, and it's going to be a little bit more subtle, the other colors, than what the original design is, because they're going to kind of not melt into, but be part of the background. But I do believe the white's going to look really nice when I have all the white. So I wanted the white to kind of shine and then have things like the yellows and the purples be there as well. I think once it's done, it's going to be nice. It's a little hard to visualize right now, though. So that's what that is. That was my final decision with that one. Okay. Now, this one required a very big change when it comes to colors. When I first saw this pattern, I loved the middle, wasn't sure about the rest. Then I saw people stitching it, and I loved it. So this is Spring Quaker by Lila Studio. I loved the design, and I've noticed in the last year and a half, I really, really like Quakers. There's something about them that I find really enjoyable to stitch, and they satisfy something with all those mini finishes in my brain. So I saw this, and first I was going to change the color. You knew that. And I chose that, and I was still potentially dedicated to the browns, but there was always something tickling in the back of my brain, like, do I really want to go browns for spring? And I did try with the browns, and I wasn't feeling it. So I did change up. All the browns are going to be changed into various shades of green. And then every once in a while, I may have to change something else because of my fabric choice. But I am loving it. So that's where that is. That is Spring Quaker by Lila Studio. This is done on an 18 count Rose Hips by Under the Sea Fabrics. This was a fabric of the month. I am really, by Under the Sea this year. I'm really hoping she puts it in her regular line because it is a wonderful pink. And it really, I could see, it would look great with brown because pink and brown are a great color combination. But I think spring, new birth, new growth and just greens. So I did change those out. If I switch my page here, so the 829, those might have been variegated. So Summer Quaker is all DMC. Spring Quaker has combination DMC and overdyed flosses. I switched any of the overdyes to first DMC. Then I looked at it and I switched them color-wise. So the DMC 829 was switched to 500 and the DMC 434 was switched to 319. Those are the two I know for sure. I'll have to go back on some of my other notes in other parts of the stitching journals or planners and figure them out if there's anything else, but I'll put that below. I did actually, you know what? Then I also changed the words. So the words are in black in the original, but I thought with the pink fabric that brown would be better. So I did change the words to a brown. I don't have that listed though in these notes. I'll go back and check if you want to see. So I made some good progress. I started this probably a month before, or well, I can tell you when I started it. Where am I? I have to switch the page here. May. I started this one May 16th. So really just about a little over a month before I knew I was going to start Summer Quaker. So I worked on this right up to when we started Summer Quaker. And then since then, this one's kind of been put away. It won't stay away though. I really do enjoy it. I'm curious if she's going to have a autumn and winter Quakers as well. I'm not in the know, so I never know what's happening. Usually somebody knows, and then they let me know. And I'm always like, how do you know everything? You're always so smart. All right. Next. What am I doing next? This next one is also a May start. I'm trying to think why I started it for May. I don't remember. I think it was just fun and I wanted to. This is the Wizard of Oz tree from Tiny Modernist. So that's what it'll originally look like. I went a little bluer, shocker, with the fabric than this. This one is a little bit, it is blue, but not, it's blue almost heading towards green, but it is blue-ish gray. But I wanted to go a little bit different. And I wanted to add some sparkle. So I did use an opal. And that's where I am right now. This is, I keep covering my notes, 18 count opal blue ice, and it is from To Die For Fabrics. So if we come on up, if you can see the sparkle. So interesting, you know, how different people tackle. I was just, I was on Facebook and Judy, she is either an Aussie in a Kiwi world or a Kiwi in an Aussie world. I'm sorry, Judy. I forget this every single time. She has a Facebook group and she also has a Flosstube. She's fantastic and has fabulous projects, especially if you love frogs. Judy just posted this on her page that she is starting it. She's doing a stitch along with another stitcher, and she did the whole set of the tree, so to speak. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's so interesting how different people tackle it. For me, I wanted to count everything off each other, and I really wanted to stitch some of the cute stuff. So I'm gonna do, when I want something that's a little bit less thinking or changing colors, then I'll do different parts of the tree. But that's what it looks like. So much fun. I could see keeping this one in a pseudo rotation. If you know me by now, you know I don't have any specific rotations that I use. Just something in my brain that kind of keeps track of things, right? So we'll see. I definitely do see having that, though, at least once a month make an appearance, because I really do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. It's whimsical. I like Tiny Modernist. She's fun. All right, next is May's Lily of the Valley. So this was the May Cottage Garden samplings. And let me see. Doesn't say I did any color changes, so I think everything is as is. And I know June's the only one I changed a bit of the pattern. So there's where May ended up for the end of the month. This is probably Nantucket Sky. Let me see. Yeah, 18 count Nantucket Sky by Fabrics by Stephanie. So you can see different times. This one is a little bit more cloudier. And again, not as stark as you're seeing, than say the piece that I have for Summer Quaker. But I love it, and I think it really shows so many colors off nicely. So that's where May ended up. And yeah, so if I need to stitch a Lily of the Valley for something later on in the year, that may see some time. Otherwise, 2024. This next one, this was the first start in May, and I really don't know why it hasn't received work since then. Maybe a couple stitching sessions, and that's probably just a week's worth. This is For a Friend by Hello from Liz Matthews. I am changing this one up a bit. I am not stitching the outside border. I am just stitching that inner, and it's a cute little border. You'll see in a second, the inner black line border, and I'll stitch the inset border with it too. And I'm at the moment, I am gonna have to change one of the colors, but I haven't changed it yet, I believe, because I think it fades in too much with this fabric. But once I do and I stitch it, I'll let you know in my floss tubes. But that's all I have, sadly. It's a fun pattern. I love the little whimsical kind of design of the flowers and stuff. But for whatever reason, it's just been put aside. So this is an 18 count Friendship Green by Fabrics by Stephanie. Another favorite of mine. I feel like a lot of colors pop nicely against this Friendship Green. But that's really it. Hopefully this year I'd like to bring this out again and do some more. I don't want that to linger without any more work through 2023. So hopefully we will see some more work on that. What I should do is and I did this in my notes for 2023 in January, was I kind of highlighted things that I would like to see finished by the end of the year. Maybe what I'll do here is I'll highlight things that I want to have finished before the next mid-year review next July and see how many I can get done. All right, so let's move now into April. All right, so on my notes, what's next? Here we go. This was a finish that I recently had. It wasn't that long ago, but I stitched Philadelphia. I don't have the original. This is what it looked like, so I don't really need to put it in to show you. And it's, ooh, let me see right here. Awesome Pattern Studio. That's who it is. There's 3 versions. This is the small. There's a small, medium, and large that you can stitch. It's stitched on 18 count Nantucket Sky by Fabrics by Stephanie, and this will be framed because I'm giving it to Megan, my daughter, who has moved to Philadelphia since graduating college. And she works within downtown Philly, so this is kind of cool because there'll be all sorts of things that are what she will see every single day. So that's a finish, and I'm hoping to get that one framed within the next couple weeks because I will be seeing Megan, and I'm trying not to drop anything, and I'd like to give it to her if possible. So you may see that coming up in the near future. If I can find, I went to Michael's. They didn't have much really, and it's a 6x8 opening, which is kind of cool because that's not completely custom, but Michael's didn't really have much. So I'm going to be on the lookout for something there. And I know there are some custom places I can go, but given that you do see some 6x8 openings, I might be able to do something and get it a little bit quicker. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Alrighty. Next, what's next on my list here? I need to just look at my list, right? All right, the next is another finish, and this was a full finish. And this, I am making it more of an ornament, so it does have a longer hanger, and that's what it is right there. Ooh, we match. So this was from Flamingo Frolic, and this was a Helen D design. So if you go and you look, Cobweb Corner it has Helen D designs, so that's what that looks like. And this was stitched on 18 count Seafoam by Fabrics by Stephanie. This was the first time I've ever done any type of circular. This one happens to be oval, kind of finish, full finish. You know, all of them of my ornaments have been either squares or rectangles. So this was a new challenge for me. I called upon my paper crafting roots and did it a little bit differently rather than like the running stitch and the pulling or any kind of lacing or anything like that. So there's nothing like that in the background. And for the most part, there's 1 or 2 little bumpy points, but I'm pretty proud of this, to be honest with you. And from a distance, you wouldn't notice. And this is just some felt that I was able, it was a perfect size. This is a die cut felt piece that I die cut and put it there. So that is my full finish of Flamingo Frolic. So put that over by there. All right, next. So next was, you knew every month you're gonna see these, April's Daisy by Cottage Garden Samplings. So that's what the original looks like. And I'm going to look at my notes here for a second. Oh, I did do one change in floss, which I'll let you know. And I, of course, changed the color fabric. This one is a bit more, a lot of my fabric color changes, next month is actually even more so, start to go, they're fairly, you know, bluish or grayish or whatever. So it's not a big leap. This one's a bit brighter than some of the other ones. This is an 18 count light sea glass from To Die For Fabrics. So, and you can see it's definitely kind of a brighter of the bunch. I did change, the original called for the DMC 732 and I went with 471. There is on a bunch of these, the greens, when they are on other colors besides a straight like white, creamish, neutrally, they almost have yellow tones to the greens and it doesn't quite work with some of the patterns. So you'll see when I make the changes, a lot of times it's with the greens. And then the white will be a bit more subtle on this, but in person I can see it pretty well. So I'm okay with that. So that's what it looks like there. Alrighty, let's keep moving. All right, April starts were actually really good for finishes. Most of the pieces that I finished were April starts. 4 out of the 5, actually. So there you go. That goes to show. This one I couldn't decide 100% whether I wanted it to hang or not. And now that I did the really short hanger on Summer Blessings, I might change this, but right now I'm just using it as a leaner. And I stitched Resting Beach Face, and this is from, no, you're all yelling at me. Hands on Design, right? I'm almost sure. Let me see. Yes, Hands on Design. It was stitched on an 18 count dive in from Bestitch Me. So pretty bright, I think a little bit brighter than the original. Now mine is different. I loved this color, and so what I did not stitch in the original pattern where you see Resting Beach Face. That's all white stitched as well as the words, and I just wasn't feeling it, so I just didn't stitch that part. Right now I'm using it. It just stands and it leans. It's just a straight. The back's not even finished yet, fully finished, because no one sees it, right? So I use this red fabric just to pull out the red on the umbrella, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's super cute, and I kind of like it where I'm leaning it, so it may stay as a leaner. We'll see. But I might actually just put felt on the back to make it a tiny bit neater. When it comes to the felt on the back, I usually will buy the stuff from Michael's that is extremely affordable. If I'm using the felt, for example, on Summer Blessings or here, this might be a bit more expensive felt because it's a little bit sturdier and stronger. But on the back, I'm just covering the back, right? So I don't need to spend a lot of money on the back, kind of thing. All right, so that was Resting Beach Face. I have one more. Let me flip my notes here. One more for April. That was an April start, and it was a full finish. Now this one, I don't have the original to show you. This is a huge change. I not only changed the fabric, but I changed every single one of the flosses. And if it's listed down below, I will list all the flosses. There's only 5. So this was the first time I ever did a complete color change. And it was Quaker Blooms. This is Needle Art by Wendy. From the Heart, Needle Art by Wendy, I believe it's called. So this, the colors were definitely a little bit more subtle and muted, and I've seen it finished with those colors, and it is gorgeous. So absolutely, if you prefer the less bright look, I think you'll really enjoy the original colors. I took each of the colors in the original and kind of beefed them up a little bit, because on the blue, I had started them in the original, and it was fading in. It was kind of just, yeah, so-so. What fabric is this? This is an 18 count Summer Storm from To Die For Fabrics. This will be scrapbooked. You can see already I have the interfacing on the back, but I just haven't actually done the scrapbook to it yet. So this will eventually make its way probably in my 6x8. It's probably small enough to be just a 6x8 size. I love it. I really do enjoy how it turned out though. So I'm glad I did that. All right, so now I can move this notebook over here, I guess, and we'll keep juggling. All right, next. I didn't have a run of a lot of digitals up to now, actually, but I do have several more. I am also a full coverage stitcher. I have about 13 full coverages going at the moment. I did start a few this year. I haven't really since April. This is March. We're moving into March. So I haven't started any really since March. I am feeling the itch to start one. If you haven't got the sense already about me, I really don't worry about how many projects I have. I actually really enjoy the variety. I don't want to be limited to just 2 or 3 projects, just for me. If it works for you, I think that's fabulous. I know everybody's brain works differently, and it's fascinating, really. You'll hear 10 different people talk, and they each have different feelings about how many projects are what and this and that. It's so interesting. I think there could be a really cool psychological study done on us and how many projects we all have. But it doesn't bother me in the least, to be quite honest. The more the merrier. And that just gives me time to work on whatever I happen to want. And if I want a full coverage, I've got it. If I want something little, I can, or whatever. So this one, I'm calling it, what am I calling it? Beach Girl in Red Dress. It's got one of those Etsy titles, right? So, you know, they basically just cover all their catchwords. This is Simple Wave Studio, and I want to say, so that's who charted it, and I want to say it's Jennifer Camp is the artist. I do try to when I can. Jennifer Camp, yes. Now there are several different beach designs at Simple Wave Studio, so if you like kind of that look, and this is a little less bright, it's a little mute, I mean, not this one obviously with the red, but there are several with white dresses, and I do own a few more of these. I just love the look. I live in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, so obviously we go to the beach quite often. Morning and night. I'm not middle of the day beach person, as you can tell. I'm not exactly tan, but I just love the beach. So you'll see a lot of beach and nautical from me. So that's what it'll eventually look like. This is all I have at the moment. It's one of my smaller, as you can see, that's it for the fabric. It's one of my smaller full coverages. And I cannot wait. You see the start of the hair here. This is a huge chunk of, it's funny, on the screen it looks like kind of more white wispy. Here it's a bit more creamy, but I think the red will look nice against that in the end, so I'm not really upset about that. Now all of my full coverage are 18 count white Aida 2/1 full cross, 2 strands over 1 full cross. And I don't know, it's just the way I started doing it. I really didn't know what I was doing. I also do not have a plan with my full coverage. If you were to say I had any sort of plan, I like finding the corners. So you will find a lot of times I either work my way down or across, and a lot of my patterns, I haven't quite gotten there where I have all 3 corners, but I definitely try to have either 2 corners or however it works. I just like that kind of visual. For me, and then I can pick and choose wherever I want to stitch. Sometimes I just pick a color and go. Sometimes I pick an area. Sometimes I say I've got to tackle confetti, which of course is not my 100% favorite. So that's where that is now. I do have, you know, a mini rotation with the full coverages of I'll pick one and work on it for 10 days and then move on. 10 days with a minimum of 1,000 stitches. These smaller ones, this one, and then my Christmas deer, which was started last year, I don't have them with my regular full coverages. I have them with in the bins with my regular projects because I feel like I can throw those in. They're smaller, and so they can get thrown in weekly stitches as well. So you'll see them a little bit differently than the regular rotation. So that was red, what did I say it was? Beach Girl in red dress. All right, in March. You're not going to be surprised by a couple of these starts because they're March, right? My mom and both my in-laws are from Ireland, so of course I had to stitch this. This is Vlada X Stitch. I am not stitching the words Ireland, and I am not 100% sure about the called for greens. When I get there, I'm going to do a heavy, hard look at how they'll look on this. Maybe they'll look good on this fabric that I've chosen, but they're a bit almost chartreusey-ish. I do like up here, this part, but here I'm not sure. So we'll see. Because my fabric is a little bit more yellowy, they might not look great. But here I have what I have so far. And is that, oh nope, that's just a wrinkle. Sometimes in the fabric, it's so interesting. Different hand dyers get that different look, and some of them have that almost embedded look of ripples or I'm going to call them wrinkles, but they're not necessarily. But it's just, again, another interesting concept of how people are all doing the same thing. They're hand dyeing the fabric, but they come up with different results. This is an 18 count, where am I? I'm losing my place. Oh no, it's not that. Champagne, hand dyed by Rolanda. So you're not going to be able to see very well right now. There is white here, but that's the white is all color surrounded, I guess is the best way to put it. So in the end, you'll be able to see it much better. If it was on its own with this color fabric, it would be an issue, but I think it's going to be just fine. So that's where I am with that. I haven't done this one in a little bit. There are some great blocks of color on this one. I did stitch a Delaware one. I don't think I have it. Do I have it fully finished? I'm going to scrapbook them. This one, obviously we have trips and trips and trips to Ireland, so I definitely want to scrapbook that one with pictures. And I don't know if I want to go, well, there's not a lot of recent pictures because most of our time was quite some time ago. We just really didn't make it over there over the last several years. All right, what's next here? Ireland, okay. Next one is my Cottage Garden March one, and this is March's Daffodil. So that's what it looks like. This is probably the most extreme of the fabric choices I've made out of all of these. But I just wanted to go a little different route. Because of the bluebird, I wasn't sure about blue. And you have the different greens. I was kind of like, well, do I want green? So I went in a completely different direction and I went purple. So this is an 18 count lilac mist. It is also by hand dyed by Rolanda. So that's what it looks like. And I'm liking it. Now I did make a change. I'm using, instead of 470 DMC, I'm using 904, which really is a much greener green as opposed to a yellowish green. I do like that change. I'm really pleased with that. So that's where that is. So my daffodils have been put away now until another time. I'm gonna run out of room where I'm putting all these. All right, next. This one is a digital. I do need to show you this. It's funny because I wouldn't necessarily say that I adore and absolutely hugely love gnomes, but I have probably 6 or 7 gnome projects going, which is kind of funny. But you know, hey, it happens. So I am stitching, oh, what's funny? I think it's this one. This is a set of 3. So this is from Wonder Stitch UA. Yes, Wonder Stitch UA. And you get the set of 3 gnomes. I am stitching this guy. I started with this one. What I'm not stitching is I'm not stitching on any of these from Wonder Stitch. You'll see another one that I started this year. I'm not stitching the background box. I chose fabric colors to kind of mimic that. And then I don't know if you're gonna be able to see here. There's a very light gray kind of grounding circle. I'm not doing that either. Now it's St. Patrick's and fun, and I think I won this fabric in a Friday Night Fight Nights, and I saw it and I said, oh yes, absolutely, let's sparkle. So let's bring it up close first. I don't know, can you see the opal? This is an opal. It is 18 count opal water nymph from Bestitch Me. And I just love it. I knew I wanted some sort of kind of yellowish, but the look of this with kind of the green and all of that kind of fun stuff just really makes it, look at that, how beautiful is that? And it's kind of funny because the way it's cut, it's mostly more yellow here, kind of like a sky, and then we'll work our way down and we'll be more green down here with the ground. So I didn't even plan that. Happy coincidence. So this one hasn't seen a lot of time right now. I'm currently working on my summer gnome because I would like to, that one I did kind of give myself a tentative, hey, do you think you can finish this kind of nudge this year for that one? I probably could. I am near the bottom of the gnome area, but the wonderful color variations in these gnomes and kind of the lifelike look that Wonder Stitch UA has, and they have 2 stores. They have Wonderland Ukraine and Wonder Stitch UA. I originally got them in Wonderland Ukraine. They now have a different gnome artist that you'll see designs on there, but they do have a second store. This is the Wonder Stitch UA, and that's where all of these artists' designs of the gnomes are. If you're wondering, if you remember, I was at one point I talked about a different store with that. So that's where the change comes with that. And that was all of my March starts. Let me look. Yeah. So we are now working our way to February. And this was another full coverage that I had started. I mean, and you can tell why. I just love this one. So I'm calling this Bottled Beauty. It's got, again, an Etsy name. It is from Cross Stitch for Everyone. Now, at this moment, ooh, we don't want to do that. At this moment, the store is 50% off. What's today? July, I don't even know what July, maybe 10th, 11th? I should look here. July 8th. I'm already making days go by. I don't know how long and the artwork is by. I don't know how long the sale is actually going to go. Fun Digital is who the artwork is copyrighted by. So let me do this. So that's what it looks like. It's beautiful. I always seem to start my full coverages in the upper left, so that's why they always look mostly done up there. Mostly done is a relative term. And then I kind of work my way in and around, right? So as you can see, I did end up completing over to this side to another corner. That was what I wanted to, you know, how I kind of ended up doing it. There's mostly that corner, and then we work our way over until this corner over here. So this is a good size one. It's a little bit bigger than some of that small one, but it's certainly not my biggest by far. I have a habit, I really like doing the minis. This one's not, when I do have an earth, not always, but I do like those. This one is not having an earth, right? So I just look at stitch counts when I look at something and decide, whew, do you think I could do it? So there we go. 18 count white Aida, 2 strands over 1, full cross. I think over the summer, I would like to pull this one out again because, it is a kind of summery stitch. So it will get a rotation, I want to say before the fall, and another 1,000 stitches. So keep an eye out. Alrighty, so where are we? Bottled Beauty, next one. February's Primrose from the Cottage Garden. I know, you're surprised. Let's see now. I don't have any specific color changes listed. It's funny though, because sometimes the notes don't transfer from one journal to the other. So I do have to go back and double check on that. But that's what the original looks like. I, as usual, changed out the fabric. So that's what it looks like. And this is done on an 18 count unnamed fabric by hand dyed by Rolanda. Super pretty. And I got a better chunk of this one done than some of the other months. I did start it at the beginning of the month. It's funny because all my starts in February, I had started by the 7th. I did 4 starts in February and they were all done in the first week. And then I just concentrated on projects. That doesn't always happen. I don't usually have a specific rhyme or reason. But at the beginning of the month, I have my pieces set to start in the following month. And I'm always excited to get at least one started. So the first week I get 1 or 2 starts. Always, it feels like. Alrighty, so next, moving on. This one here, I saw so many people stitching it. Let me show you the original. Last year, it was a stitch along last year. And I didn't jump on till I saw the full thing because it was a mystery. The Haunted, let me fix this here. Haunted Library Stitch Along. And that is from Lola Crow Studios. So that's what it looks like. I did change, once I saw the full, I said, ooh, that's really pretty. I did change the fabric, as many people have, so it's really kind of cool. I'm sure there's a hashtag. You can see so many different takes on this design. And there's mine. And I know this is wild. I think once it's fully stitched, it's gonna feel a little less wild. So roll with me on this one. This is an 18 count Imagine from Mystic Fabrics. And I think once the full piece is done, I think it'll definitely have more of that Halloween vibe and not quite so chaotic. I like it. So that I'm sure will be scrapbook. I don't know for a fact, but generally that's where most of my pieces will end up. All right, I think things are going to have to start going on the floor here now. So I'm running out of room. All righty. The first one I started in February, if I'm looking here. Yep. Is Beezy Spring. This is also a Cottage Garden Samplings, and it was part of the Time for All Seasons series. It was number 5. And that's copyright 2021. I started this one for a stitch along. Carla Being Crafty every February does a hashtag BEE, Be My Own Valentine Sal. And so you stitch something with a bee on it. And I participated last year, and I'm doing so this year. And my goal is to have it finished before next February when the next one will start. I did go quite different with the fabric, so that's what it looks like there. This is an 18 count light sea glass from To Dye For Fabrics, but so far I haven't had to change any of the flosses. I do want to jazz up this a little bit because I did try stitching that, as that's going to be nice and easy, right? And I wasn't loving the called for DMC. So I think I might kind of maybe add a little sparkle. I'm going to finish all this first. And the little thing here. And then I'll figure that out. So that's where we are right now with that one. I recently just showed this one because I was working on it. I got smart because I was doing it the difficult way. I got smart and I did the outline. So now it's a great one for, it'd be either for Zooms or for, stitching in person if I'm with other people. Because you just fill in the block, right? So you can get some good work done on that one. All right, so that was February. Now we move into January. I had 7 starts in January, so we're nearing the end. Okay, Why is my iPad? There we go. Well, that was funny. My iPad just kind of went out on me for a minute. All right, this one is called Mini Until the End. This was the first full coverage of the year that I started. I just love, you know, I love blues. I love greens. I love color. I just love color. But these colors just really, I couldn't not look away. I couldn't look away. I double negative that, didn't I? It's Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artwork's by Rose Kahn. Isn't it beautiful? So this is going to, and I did work on this a little bit yesterday. This is this week, or this new rotation for my full coverage. So you will see this in the next Flosstube or two. 18 count white Aida full cross, 2 strands over 1 as usual. And I actually, on this one, I'm kind of doing it a little bit different. I did work my way across, and I did some more across. I don't remember how much more I have to, well, probably about right here, right? So I still have a decent amount to get to the corner, but I was really feeling kind of filling in all of this. So I picked a color, and I really just started filling in. It's only been 1 day's work, so it was probably like, I think I actually got 200 stitches in. So it was, I actually had a good day with this one, but obviously not a lot from whenever I would have shown it last, but that will get work now. That's my current full coverage in the rotation. And I don't even have a rotation with that kind of idea. I just basically, I have them in drawers, and I just open and close the drawers. And I say, what do I feel like working on? What haven't I worked on? I know that means that some get skipped over and some get worked on more, but if that's what I'm feeling, then that's what I'm going to stitch at any given time. This one, I started it for a stitch along. Katie, the novel stitcher, had a stitch along, and she has since finished. And I don't remember the name of it. It was Bunnies. And this is the only one of all of my starts and my changes in this month, or this year, that I am questioning my my choice. I have Punch Needle Primitive Stitcher magazine. That's where this came out of. I decided not to try to find it because it doesn't always necessarily stay in my iPad. So I'm just showing you, a lot of you know, these are the hearts, right? So it's the season of the spring, seasons of the heart spring, and it's from the Blue Flower. They've since been released as regular patterns. They're not just in the magazine. And this is an 18 count, what is this? Hideaway from Bestitch Me. I hemmed and I hawed on the color, and it's kind of been put aside because I'm not 100% sure. It's kind of one of those, I think I need to stitch more of it to decide 100%. I know, which is kind of, you know, counterintuitive, because you don't want to spend more time. The more time you spend, then you'll be like, I have to think there was a reason why I went with this color. Now, my instincts don't always get it right, of course, but I do think it's funny because in one section I have, I'm going to restart this, but in another section I have, I'm still going to keep this a go. So I think I'm going to keep it at the moment. I did change some colors. Instead of 581, I'm doing 987. Instead of 832, I'm doing 3856. So there's a few different places where I did definitely have to change because this was most likely done on a neutral. So we'll see. I think I have to give myself a little bit more time before I can completely say we're going to redo it. I really like those patterns, obviously, because I have the magazine. I have all 4 of them, and I would like to stitch them. They're cute, but, you know, I don't know. You know, sometimes you're just not sure. So we'll see what happens with that one. All right, I have another digital, and actually this might be the last of my digitals. This I started in January, of course, and it is Winter Gnome. So that's the set from Wonder Stitch UA, and I am stitching, I've got to look because they're all so pretty. I think I ended up, because I really liked that flower right here. I started this one, so this is the one I'm stitching. So that's what you're going to see. And you can see what color they chose for the box, which obviously I'm not stitching. I didn't go quite as dark, but there we go. Now you'll see the white maybe is a little bit blendy in, but with everything covered, I'm going to stitch it all first and see what I think. And then if I have to add anything extra, I will, like, you know, for some sort of back stitch, but I'm not particularly worried about it at the moment. So that's the full color right there. Now this one I did go with an opal because I just thought it would be so fun. This is Opal Hourglass Nebula from Fortnite Fabrics. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I did their opal, and I did, you can see, I did small pieces every month in their fabric of the month. And it's just, I think it's a little bit longer than I need, but width-wise, it's perfect. So I just said, you know what, let's use this and let's just do an opal with it. So that's where I got to with that. This probably won't come out again until winterish time, unless I absolutely have a desire to stitch winter or stitch blue. There's a lot of blues on that one. So there's that one. Alrighty. Next. Now I do have the magazine with this one. It's in with the actual bag that I'm using. I started this, I remember, I'm almost sure, from the magazine monthly cross stitch challenge. They did a, there was like it was Bringo, so it was a bingo board in January, and so you had different projects to fill in the board. And I decided to do Butterfly from Anna Pavlik, and it's from the Just Cross Stitch magazine. Info will be below. I did radically change the fabric, but I'm keeping all of the floss colors. So that's the original, and that's where I'm at. This is an 18 count. It's an unnamed fabric, and it came from Coffee Craft Fabrics. For my UK friends, go to Coffee Craft's Facebook page because it's much easier for you to get the fabrics if you're in the UK, because that's where they're based. I loved the colors in this, but I really feel like this bluish green brings them out more and pops them. My kids and I, every year when they were growing up as a summer trip, we lived in Connecticut, if you're new, and we would go up to Deerfield, Mass, and we would go to the Butterfly Museum, and then down the road was Yankee Candle Flagship, which, you know, for kids in the Christmas room and all the different areas was a lot of fun. So I have lots and lots of pictures of the kids at different phases and years with butterflies and pictures of butterflies. So that will definitely be a scrapbook with pictures. I already know that for a fact. Okay, we have just two more. These last two were started on the first day of January, so the first day of the year. I was so excited to start both of them that they both got to start. This one is Black Vintage Sampler, and it is from Owl Forest Embroidery. I am doing it in black. I'm using Anchor Black rather than 310 DMC. And then just, I decided I wanted to do it on like a fun fabric, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm now past the halfway a little bit with that cat of my fabric, so I do have to hold it up. This is done, I should know by now, but I need to show my notes. 18 count Rainy Day from Bestitch Me. I adore this color. So this is the edge. You can see I have left over here on the side. This most likely will get framed and will go on my floating shelves up here in the craft room. It'd be too big to be scrapbook, to be honest with you. It's going to be way too big. I think if I'm looking at the notes and they're right here on 18 count, it'll be 11 by 20. So you can see. So I've still got quite some time. I did not make it halfway through the entire pattern to make this just to finish in 2023, but I never really gave myself that sort of limit, guideline, what's the word I'm looking for? Hard stop? I don't even know. So I don't think it'll be done the end of this year, and I'm a-okay with that. I do enjoy stitching on it. That one is very often a zoom stitch for me because I love monochromatics for zoom stitches, and that's great because you get a bunch of small finishes. And then the very first piece I started in 2023 was January's Snowdrop from Cottage Garden. Who else, right? And this was started on the first of the year, and it did get a lot of work. So this is by far the farthest done out of all of them this year. Look at how far I got on that. I really don't have a lot left. I think I have a few letters actually. Just the word snowflakes or kisses from, and I just need VE for part of heaven. I need to finish down here the border, and I probably have some snowflakes or flowers or something to do, but for the most part this one will be a 2024 finish. It really would be awful if it wasn't. And that's on No, this is not, that's not the fabric. I was saying it's honeydew melon, and this is not honeydew melon. Let me see if I have the name on this piece. One second, because I have a little bit of the piece left of it. Nope, I don't have the name on it. So this is an unnamed blue. I will check my notes on that, because this is clearly, honeydew melon is a green. This is most definitely not that. So I originally I must have made a mistake somehow or other when I was writing that down, because I don't think I ever planned on doing this on anything besides a blue. I love how the reds look on the blue and the white does pop. This is probably a Bestitch Me if I had to guess. And it might be one where I don't think this color is this color anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because there's sometimes changing in kind of the dye recipes. I feel that's what's the answer with that one. So if I have the information, I'll note it, but know that I think is a different one with Bestitch Me now. All right, so that is what I stitched on in 2023. Let me show you some more of my finishes. All right, so if we go to the finishes page, now I won't necessarily have the designer and I won't have the fabric, but if there's something you really want to know, I'll look for it for you. In June, I finished 6 pieces, but of course, 4 of them starts in whatever month. So you're not going to see very many June finishes because I already showed them to you. My big finish for June was On the Beach from Stitchrovia, and I know this is an 18 count beach sand because I worked on it quite recently just to pull for a finish. Love it. Really, really. I enjoy it now, and I enjoyed it most of the time, but there was a stretch that there was a bit of a struggle. And this one did stay for quite some time. I can't remember when I started it, but it was a few years old because I think of the struggle. All right, so that was On the Beach. Next, in June, we also finished Summer Quaker. This is from Jardin Privé. And I am stitching all of 4 of these seasons with DMC 823, I think. And they're all 4 bright colors. I have 3 seasons done, and I will work on the autumn in September. I have that slated for a September start. So that one was not fully finished. Finished. So I think it's really going to be interesting. They're all going to be scrapbooked, I think, and they're going to be side by side and flip the page over so that you can see the same elements, the same design, same floss, but 4 different seasons. I think it's really going to be nice. Then in May, I only had 1 finish, and it was Winter Balloons. This is Jan Hicks Creates. It's part of the Carolyn's Balloons series. And I have 2 balloons stitched, autumn and winter. And I needed a balloon break, so I do have spring. I just haven't stitched it yet. This, I'm pretty sure, is 18 count Lady of the Lake by Fabrics by Stephanie. I kind of wanted that night sky, wintry sort of look. Plus, I wanted the white to pop. In April, I finished Flamingo Frolic and this one, so just 2 finishes. And this was Winter Quaker, also from Jardin Privé. I think this is Atomic Ranch, and I'm not 100% sure of the name. If you needed to know, I could let you know. So that was fun. And then in March, I finished 2 pieces, and the first is one of the Prairie Schooler Santas. This was 1991, and I know this is 18 count. Picture this plus Jade. I know because I stitched several Santas on it. I'm now moving on to a different color. I'm stitching one, and I just started it this week, and it's on a blue. And some of you are not going to like it because the blue, some of the stuff it'll fade in a little bit, but it's the 2023 Santa, and there are so many snowflakes, and I want those to pop around Santa. I will then probably do various different shades of blue for some of the other Santas I have to stitch. So you will see some different colors of Santas being stitched. The other piece that I finished was a little cottage by the sea. I want to say this was also a hands-on design, and I did the same sort of thing. Resting beach face, you know how I didn't fill in the sign? Same thing here. This was all, it wasn't the DMC white, it was a over-dyed color, but I would have used DMC white, but I chose not to do that. So that's what it is there. Then in February, I finished 2 pieces. This first one I just showed this week. It needs something else. It's going in a scrapbook page. It's Valentine Tree. It's pretty different than the original. It was in Punch Needle Primitive Magazine. It's a Revaris. It did have February 14, and it had a sign that said Valentine in it, something like that. I knew I wanted to do something fun up top, so there's a double layer of felt hearts up there. And I think I definitely want to do something, I think, down here. It's just looking a little bit plain for me, and I am a minimalist, you know that, but it needs something else a little bit. The other one that I finished, that was a long time coming, this is already cut, ready for a scrapbook. I just don't know if I'm going to put it in one with something else. This is Forest from Satsuma, and this is an 18 count Friendship Green. I'm almost sure on that. That was a lot of fun. I really liked the bright colors. Satsuma is another fun one to stitch because you get those nice brights. But you can see it's already interfaced and ready to go. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with that one. All right, in January, I finished 3 pieces. Now this one is backed with the color of cardstock I want to put in the scrapbook, but I don't have the full page. So that right there is Spring Birds, and that is probably Country Cottage Needleworks if I had to guess. And I didn't repeat. So this white layer and that border is below, and I chose not to repeat it. I decided I just wanted to end it kind of as like the ground right there. So this one needs obviously a little bit more work to go in the scrapbook. I want to say it could probably go in a 6x8. Oh, my 6x8 is too far away. I can't reach it. But I don't know. I definitely have thought about an 8.5x11. So this may change. I might change the size and put it in a 6x8 instead. I have to see what the width is here. And I don't remember. I want to say this is probably a color in cotton, if I had to totally guess on that. But I can't remember what it is. And then I did this cute little guy. This is my penguin cup. This is part of a bigger design from Shannon Christine. If you go to Shannon Christine, she has there's words, something like something Christmas. I have a cup of cheer. I would think it's called cup of cheer. And there's 5 different types of mugs. There's like a little elf, and there was the penguin. There was kind of a candy cane kind of. I don't remember all of them. I don't know if I want to stitch all 5, but I decided I wanted to take them out, separate them, and stitch them as little ornaments. Now that I've done, I think I'd like to finish him as a circle, and this is an opal, and it's a bit thicker, so that could be an issue for me, as otherwise I could do him as, you know, a rectangle, but I really think he'd be cute as a circle. 18 count, this is opal, and it's probably blue ice from To Dye For Fabrics. Super cute, and I definitely would like to stitch at least 1 or 2 of the others. I don't know if I'd stitch all 5. And the very first finish I have for 2023 is already scrapbooked, and it is, I'm not going to take it out of, so these are protective page protectors because that's how I do my scrapbooks. Acid free, of course, if anybody's worried. It's already in the page, so I decided just to keep it in the page. And this is Sailing Dreams. It's by Barbara Anna. I know the fabric's a Fortnite fabrics, probably a fabric of the month, so I don't know if it would be replicated. I am currently stitching. It was a start in July. It was July 1st, so you wouldn't see it today. I started Blue Dreams by Barbara Anna, a new release, and these will be a side-by-side scrapbook. The color of the fabric for the Blue Dreams, it's called Tropical from Fabrics by Stephanie, and it's very similar, not 100% the same, but I think they'll be a lot of fun next to each other. And that one's blue-based as well, obviously Blue Dreams, so I think it'll be a lot of fun. I do not know if I have any more of this pattern paper. I really hope I do, because I think that would be really cool to have them side by side like that. As a bonus, if you'd like to see my Hello from Liz Matthews, that was also scrapbook last year. So that's not part of my review. But so that's my very first finish of 2023. So let's talk numbers. I had 30 starts from January to the end of June. And I finished 5 of those that were started. So I think that's pretty good. I'm not going to do the math for the percentage, but hey, that's not bad. I had 16 total finishes. So if you take away the 5 from this year's start, I did get 11 more finished that had been carried over from previous years. So that's fantastic too. Previous year starts. and I had a total stitch count of 124,608 stitches. So pretty darn good for the first half of the year. We'll see how the second half of the year goes. Summertime, obviously, one of my lightest months. If I look at my numbers, well, May was my lightest month, and then June has been my second lightest. So clearly now that we're out of winter, and part of the spring was a little bit cold, but now that we've gotten more to the nicer-ish weather in summer, those numbers have definitely dropped. My highest was January. Not a surprise, right? So we'll see. I don't know if those numbers will continue to be what they were, maybe as we swing towards the end of the year, but then you have holidays. So that kind of puts things in a little bit of a question mark too. But that's what I've had so far up to now for total stitches. And like I said, I am fortunate that I do get some good stitching time right there. Other than that, I'm going to go through these notes now, and I'm going to highlight. Does anybody else do this? Color code and do all sorts of different colors with your notes. I'm going to highlight some pieces that I think I'd like to see finished. And it's again, very go with the flow. Let's see if it'll happen kind of process. Nothing, set in stone. But things I might like to have finished before next year's mid-year review in July. And we'll see what we can do. And I think I have to mark down. Well, I actually did mark down what ones were already finished. So I'll obviously check those ones off, and we'll go from there. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm so glad if you are here for the full thing that you stayed and watched, and I'm so appreciative. I will do my very best to put all of the information in the description box below. I will put the information for my starts, my 30 starts. The information for any of the other finishes from this year, if I can find it readily available, and I have enough room in the box, because you have a limited number of characters, so I don't know if I could do all of it. If I can't, and you have a question on fabric or changes of flosses or something, or designer, if I couldn't remember it, let me know, and I will track it down for you in one of my different books here. And I will be happy to give you the information with that. So this coming Friday, hopefully, there will be a new Flosstube out there, and you can see I will have 2 starts this week. I've done one already, and I have another one planned. So Beth, I'm with you. I think I could do 60 and maybe even more. So, just having fun with all my cross stitch. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Let me know, do you have a favorite project of mine that was started this year? Would love to hear that. And until I see you next time, happy stitching.